Hello everyone, and now welcome to game number 1 in a series between Lucifer and Happy. Happy has spawned as the red undead over here on the top left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Lucifer has spawned as the yellow undead over here on the top right. This is Undead versus Undead Mirror match, so regardless of if you like undead, well, or hate them, you should be happy. Undead is guaranteed to win and lose all in the same game. Now, what can we expect in an Undead vs. Undead mirror match? Undead vs. Undead is one of those matchups that you often don't see, or sometimes don't see, a Death Knight first. Because the Death Knight is unable to death coil your opponent's units, the Death Knight can only really start healing its own units. Similar to how human players rarely ever go for a Paladin first, sometime Undead players will opt to be able to do a little bit more damage with that Lich and open up with a Lich instead. Do I expect to see Lich first? I wouldn't be surprised by it, but I don't expect to see it. I still expect to see some Death Knight play since it does give that all-important movement speed bonus. Now, Happy has delayed his Altar of Darkness, so we could even perhaps be taking a look. No, it looks as this is just your standard Crypt Fiend opening, so it does look like it's going to be Death Knight and Crypt Fiends as opposed to, say, trying to go for any sort of Dark Ranger play. If it is going to be Crypt Fiends, I do expect the Death Knight with that movement speed bonus does allow those Crypt Fiends to get into position slightly faster, as we are looking at a Lich. Alright, so Lucifer going for a Lich and Happy going for a Death Knight. Now, what is going to be unfolding in this matchup, as both sides are opting to not do any additional scouting? It does make sense. Early lumber is extremely important in this Undead versus Undead mirror match, as you train one additional ghoul and then start cranking out those Crypt Fiends. Both sides didn't want to pull an Acolyte from the Crypt Mine, nor did they want to pull a ghoul from the lumber line in order to figure out what their opponent is doing. Crypt Fiend going to purposely pull back here, stay on Blight, do a little bit of damage as the Lich will be popping out. Both sides doing very, very similar tactics, as the Crypt Fiend going to be dealing a little bit of damage to that Ogre Warrior. You can see that Ogre Warrior taking, well, about 70 points of damage, or 80 points of damage. Forest Troll Trapper, that Crypt Fiend is just wandering back and forth as the Lich is now finally out. And we'll see if the Lich picks up a Rod of Necromancy, pulls over 2 skeletal minions, and is going to start to engage. Death Knight, on the other hand, of Happy, going to go ahead and finish things off right there. Death Knight is still able to death coil creeps as things are now still progressing along nicely. What is the Lich going to do? Lich is going to finish it off that, picks up a Circlet of Nobility, slightly more damage, more hit points, and slightly more armor. Nicely played there. Meanwhile, Happy also picking up a Circlet of Nobility, as we are going to see these units cross paths. Now, I am expecting the Lich to always have a Rod of Necromancy on him. The Lich is going to be very, very important to have that Rod of Necromancy because of Dark Ritual. Anytime you're able to sacrifice one of these skeletal minions for a little bit more experience, that is always a good call. Alright, who is going to be able to do that bit of damage? I believe the Death Knight. No, the Lich gets the experience right there. Does not get the item, though. Item goes to the Death Knight, so Lucifer stealing that last bit of experience gets to level 2, as you see the skeletal minions are now fighting it out. Lich is getting more and more experience. Meanwhile, Death Coil from Happy on the Death Knight. Counter steal is fair play, as the Death Knight now in a little bit of trouble, down to 200 some odd hit points. Lich is in a little bit of trouble now. He needs to be able to use a Rod of Necromancy again in order to get more mana and convert that mana into another Frost Nova. All right, let's continue to fight this out here. Death Knight going to try and engage. Death Knight going after the Lich. Lich, however, is relatively low on hit points. What is happening here? Death Knight being forced to use that potion of healing earlier than it would have liked, as we see, well, a Dark Ritual there to get a bit more mana. All right, you can see the Lich is now back up to 210 mana and slowly climbing. More damage is being added. A little bit of pathing blocking happening as well, as a Frost Nova does go down. Death Coil comes across the heal. Early fighting back and forth as the Lich gets back onto Blight to heal back up. But Blight is universal, and both sides would have been able to regenerate rather quickly, even though it is technically Lucifer's Blight. Lich still sitting at level 2 right now, really needs to get to level 3 in order to win out in the experience race. Level 2 Death Coil versus level 2 Lich. I believe the Lich will have a slight advantage in that situation just because he can, in fact, hero nuke his opponent's targets. However, a 400 hit point heal is nothing to laugh at. Back across here, Skeletal Minion could get taken out. Lich still wandering back down, still seeing that 200 mana. Crypt Fiends making their way to the south as the Death Knight with Unholy Aura now looking to close the distance. Lich sitting at level 2, you can see a little bit of normal damage being absorbed here. Kobold Task Tunneler getting in some bashes as well. These Kobold Tunnelers, Forest Troll Shadow Priest now joining in, should be able to heal some of these units back up and also abolish magic on those skeletal minions if they do end up getting in the way. Lightning Shield unit being quickly pulled off there, as the Forest Troll Shadow Priest should also be trying to heal up that one final Crypt Fiend. Renegade Wizard will fall as the Lich is going to sit comfortably at level 3. Death Knight going to get to level 3 after this Forest Troll Berserker. So far, we are even. Is the Lich going to bother? No, the Lich is not going to even bother with trying to use Frost Nova there. Ring of Regeneration, very, very helpful for the Lich. As you see, units now making their rounds again. All right, who is going to take a little bit more damage? You can see, Frost Nova there. Death Knight now taking more damage again. Is the Death Knight going to go after that Crypt Fiend? It looks like it, in fact, will. Gets the kill and a little bit more experience. Death Coil on the Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Death Knight down to 14 hit points as Lucifer unable to finish off that Death Knight. Armor type plus a little bit of RNG saving that Death Knight there. I believe the Death Knight had a couple of Crypt Fiend attacks still wandering towards it as that invulnerability did come online. Lich still sitting at maximum mana now, sells the Ring of Regeneration, doesn't pick up a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, and currently still has a low hit point Crypt Fiend. Interestingly enough, we should be getting that Slaughterhouse for those Obsidian statues as we are teching to tier 3 and getting a Death Knight as the backup hero. So Death Knight Lich versus Lich Death Knight, as the Crypt Fiend looking to get some more tomes of strength, get a little bit more hit points, and finish off the remainder of this creep camp here. Now, there is another Dark Ritual. Mana is looking relatively low. Lich does have a Scroll of Town Portal if he needs a quick escape, and that might be absolutely necessary as we are going to be going into an engagement here. Going straight after that Gargantuan Sea Turtle. Lich now out of mana. Skeletal Minion number 1. Still engaging, still dealing a little bit of damage. Lucifer going very, very deep here, trying to just take down the Gargantuan Sea Turtle, burrowing every single Crypt Fiend he has, as the Gargantuan Sea Turtle will get taken down. All right. Item, Claws of Attack +9. A little bit fighting back here. Lich up to level 4. Scroll of Town Portal may not even be necessary, but that is very, very low hit point units. All sitting right here. Does the Lich feel comfortable enough trying to walk out of the situation? Oh no, he's going to be walking straight into a bad spot. Lich is right there. Frost Nova onto that Crypt Fiend. There it goes. Takes down 2. Scroll of Town Portal, and what a huge swing right there. If he had known where his opponent was, I am certain he would have just used the Scroll of Town Portal or tried to outweight his opponent. Instead, he finds himself down 6 supply. We are looking at 33 over 50 compared to 47 now. A very, very big difference indeed. Death Knight joining in on the fight. Death Coils should be coming across for those Crypt Fiends. Not quite sure why they aren't. Meanwhile, off to the north here, looked like there was some sort of attack. Nope, nothing of the sort, as we are going into Destroyers. Lich is sitting at level 4, has Claws of Attack +9, Orb of Corruption, and Circlet of Nobility. Death Knight needs to get to level 2, should be able to do exactly that off of this remaining creep camp, as the Lich is going to stay at level 4. And meanwhile, Death Knight of Happy, Dark Ranger of Happy, now also with a Pendant of Energy. The Pendant of Energy could be given to the Lich, as the Lich now has double Claws of Attack +6 and Orb of Corruption, using the marketplace to his advantage to perhaps to make up some of the lost ground by losing this earlier orange creep camp. Death Knight still sitting at level 2, and we're going to see, oh no, perhaps some units getting caught in transit again. That is an Obsidian statue. That is a very, very powerful and important target, as we are going to be looking at this Lich try to get back the other way. Obsidian statue did not path. Meanwhile, Dark Ranger is in trouble and needs to regroup up with the rest of the army as well, as they're going to be heading back off to the north. All right, Crypt Fiends, Tri-Hero. Only real difference is going to be who is going to be in position there. Lich, Frost Nova, Death Coil in time as a Frost Nova goes back down on the Death Knight. Death Knight now in trouble. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. Death Knight now trying to pull back away. Crypt Fiends may be able to finish it, and the Death Knight falls at level 2. Long distance, Dark Ranger hitting a moving target as those bullets do in fact track. Obsidian statues now pulling back here. This Dark Ranger is going to be in a very bad spot, separated from the rest of the army once more. Let's take a look. Crypt Fiends now doing a very strong push inside this base. Dark Ritual taking down another Crypt Fiend there as the skeletal minions are making their way out to play. Death Knight still getting resurrected, and this might just be a bad spot to be in. Happy with a level 3 Death Knight should be able to finish things off. Ghoul is now trying to come back around and finish things off as well. Tomb of Relics, 35 over 50 supply showing compared to what has to be a 50 over 50 army coming in from Happy or close, as this may be the GG. Obsidian statues with nothing to heal. That is the main problem, as the Dark Ranger going to fall as well. Well, nope. There is the GG, and Happy takes game number 1. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1. Please stay tuned for game number 2.